Hello, my name is Maya. Welcome back to my channel. So, as promised, here we are with my review of the fucking Winchesters. Okay, so the first episode released yesterday at the time of me filming this, and they bless my beautiful boyfriend. He has this streaming service where they literally just torrent shit. So I was able to watch it without cable today because I just do one day after. I literally just finished watching it, and I must say I have not been a proponent of this prequel in the slightest. I have a video you can go watch where I explain why I don't think this prequel was a good idea at all. And I still stand by it after watching it. I said that even though I hated the idea and that I would still watch the show. And, I kind of simmered down a little bit. I was like, okay. After the initial announcement, you kind of just, there's a lull, they're filming it, whatever, nothing really came out. The trailer came out, I watched it, I was like, fuck this shit. It looked horrible. But I'm still gonna watch it because I have a problem. And so I watched it, and I just gotta say straight off the bat, it sucked. I don't think that there was anything redeeming, and I went in being like, just find one thing you like about it. Just one thing. You might hate the entire concept because it's all a retcon and messes with all the continuity of Supernatural, and you might not like the idea of the one fucking Supernatural spin-off being about John and Mary because you hate John and Mary, but find one thing you like about it. Could not find one thing I liked about it. I couldn't. I'm gonna be honest. The acting was really bad. The directing was not very great. The writing was pretty poor. The music choices were kind of weird. I wrote down High School Musical music because there was this one moment where after John and Mary bump into each other and have their meet cute, they played High School Musical music. It just sounded like the transition music in High School Musical, and I was shocked to my core. I don't know what we're doing, but the instrumental feels really off. Usually, I don't notice instrumental in shows because usually it's supposed to blend seamlessly into the show, but for some reason the instrumental in this show is really fucking there. It's in your face, and I don't even know, I couldn't even tell you. I had no notes about the Supernatural instrumental because honestly it blended kind of seamlessly into the show, but for some reason the instrumental here just feels really off. And I know they're trying to set scenes, they do this kind of romantic lull whenever John and Mary look at each other, but the actors have such little chemistry, and they're not even trying, that it really just feels really out of place, and I don't know how else to put it. I'm really disappointed. I had low expectations, but I went in trying to find anything that I liked about it, and I couldn't find one thing. So I'm just gonna go over basically the entire plot of the TV show, or the first episode, the pilot. Only one episode's been released. And I'm just gonna explain kind of what we set up, what happened during the episode, and my personal qualms. So this is gonna be spoilers for the pilot. I don't recommend watching this show, so I just recommend watching people review this show. It's like what I do when there's a bad movie on Netflix. I just watch 10 other people review it instead of actually watching it myself. So I don't recommend watching this show. I really don't. It's really bad. It's not even a good, fun bash watch. It's just plain bad. And if you really care about Supernatural and you like Supernatural, you're gonna be pissed about all the retcons and continuity errors. Now, first of all, let me just say straight off the bat, we know everything about the John and Mary story, basically. We know that Mary was a hunter. She was part of the Campbell family. We have literally met her dad. He came back from the fucking dead. We know that John, I believe he was actually in the Marines, so the show did get that right. The show starts with him coming back from the Marines. He only spent 2 years there. Now, I don't pretend to know anything about the US Army because why the fuck would I care about the US Army? Sorry, I'm Canadian and I just don't fucking care. 2 years seems like too short of a period of time. I'm sure that they have to serve longer, right? Is that just me? And correct me if I'm wrong, but the Marines, aren't they the water based ones, like they're in their boats. Why was he doing land combat? Just saying, we're having flashbacks to him doing land combat. And one of his friends, Murph, died via landmine, and he still had the pieces of his necklace in his arm. Why didn't like the medical team take those out before he left? I'm confused. Did he get discharged for like medical I feel like 2 years is too short of a time. Like, tell me if I'm wrong, but that doesn't seem right. Like, and I just don't want to look it up, but I'm assuming that's not right. In just the world of military. But that's not even my biggest gripe. I don't fucking care. Like, that, if honestly that was the only thing that was wrong with the show, I would literally not care. Because I don't care about the military. I don't care if you get it accurate. I'm just pointing it out there. I don't think it was accurate. Not in the slightest. But you know, Jensen Ackles has never been in the military, so, and he didn't want to do 5 seconds of research, so who fucking cares? He could have at least fucking done research on his own fucking show. Because here's my problem. We know everything, right? So John didn't know about hunting. He didn't know about monsters and all that until Mary's death. And then he joined the life because he wanted to get revenge for Mary's death, right? Yellow-eyed demon killed Mary after Mary made a deal to save John's life. We saw all this. Yellow-eyed demon put demon blood in Sam's body and made him some freaky magic kid who could do the Force. And, you know, like, we know the story. We know that Mary wanted to leave hunting to be with John. We know that her father did not approve. We literally saw John buy the fucking Impala with Dean. I don't know how else to tell you. We literally saw Henry Winchester. We learned about the Men of Letters through Henry Winchester. We know that Henry abandoned John when he was a kid, and John had a lot of abandonment issues. Why do we know this? Because Dean was pissed at Henry for abandoning John, and John never found out why he left. This is a big deal, okay? Because Dean was pissed. Why would Dean be pissed if John already knew? John did not know about the Men of Letters. John did not know about hunting, about any of this until Mary's death. He didn't even know about the Men of Letters and at all. He didn't know. Because Dean and Sam found out in season fucking 6. So you cannot tell me in this prequel that John knew all this shit. Okay? And I know that I might be jumping to a conclusion here. It is very possible, and this is the only way this show would make sense, that John at some point gets his memories erased. How? I mean, really, it would have to be an angel, right? I mean, unless they come up with some sort of witchcraft thing, but it would have to be an angel, right? And we have seen an angel manipulate John's memory because it was very important that John didn't know anything. Do you remember when Cass took Sam and Dean back in time and Michael came and tried to kill Mary and John, and Cass had to erase John's memory of the entire ordeal because he wasn't supposed to know. And he found out at that moment about hunting and all about them, and he was very disappointed to see that Sam and Dean were hunted. Irregardless, it is mind-boggling to me that we are watching this show, that someone made this show, and not just someone, Jensen Ackles, who literally was on the show that he's now fucking all the continuity up for. I just don't understand. I really, really don't. And unless John's memories get completely erased, I don't know how to tell you this, but you fucked up really bad. And I just don't understand how. I don't understand why. I don't understand this thought process. This doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. I'm so pissed. Like, I've genuinely never seen such a mockery. I don't know what you were thinking. You can't just go and do this. Does continuity and retcons mean nothing to you? I mean, this makes the Star Wars prequels look like they had the best continuity in the entire world, okay? Like, it boggles my fucking mind. I'm mind blown. I don't understand. And I'm pissed. And even if John's memories do get erased to this entire ordeal, I'm still gonna be pissed because the show is bad. The show is just bad. So, anyways, that's my rant. So let me just begin. Let me tell you quickly what happens in this episode. Okay, we start off, Samuel Campbell, my least favorite Campbell. I don't like him. We start off with him. He's in a graveyard and he's opening something up and some monster comes and chases him off. And then we cut to John, and John is on a bus and he's having PTSD flashbacks to the war that he was in. And then, you know, Dean comes in and he's like, hi, guess what? I'm going to tell you my family story. And it was at that point when I realized Jensen Ackles is not a very good narration voice actor. But whatever. And he was like, yeah, you might think you know this story, but there's more to it. And to that I say, Dean, no, you can't just say something like that. You can't just retcon everything. That's not how it works. John gets off the bus and he's like wandering through town, still in army uniform. I think it was an army uniform. Again, I don't know shit about military. And then he bumps into Mary, who is just coming out of the movie theater grabbing candy for a stakeout. And this is their meet cute. Now I will say, we found out that the Cupids manufacture John and Mary's get together, basically. So the cheesiness and the out of the blueness and the kind of weirdness of them just bumping into each other and like getting along immediately, it at least kind of makes sense. Like, I'm really pulling at straws because I doubt Jensen remembered that. But okay, I'll allow it because it kind of does make sense. And then, you know, she's got like a can of red spray and they have flirty banter, which they have no chemistry. The actors have no chemistry. The least they could have done is, I don't know, hire decent actors who had chemistry. Like, if you're trying to make me like John and Mary, you're not succeeding in the slightest. In fact, I'm just bored. I'm watching this show and I'm bored because there's nothing. They have no spark. There's nothing. It's really bland. I swear to God, John has more chemistry with Lata and with Carlos than he does with fucking Mary. And it just, I don't know how to tell you this. They don't have nothing. And then it's funny because, like, I guess the candy that Mary got, like, John picks it up and he was like, oh, I haven't seen this candy in 2 years. And then it gets really sentimental and I'm like, oh my God. Like, oh my God. It was so forced and stupid. And it's like, I get it. You were in the war. You don't have to keep telling me that he was in the war for 2 years because this pilot brings it up multiple times. Do you think I am stupid? You only need to tell me once. I get it. And then, funny enough, and I thought this was kind of hilarious, I think Jensen probably did this on purpose, but Mary calls John Soldier Boy multiple times throughout this episode, and obviously Jensen played Soldier Boy, so I guess that was the one thing I liked about it. Maybe. I just thought it was funny. I understood. I got the reference. Cool. It's like how in The Boys, they mentioned Poughkeepsie, which was Sam and Dean's safe word, and I was sitting with my boyfriend and I was like, oh my God, Poughkeepsie, and he was like, what? And I was like, no, you don't understand. It's Sam and Dean's safe word. Do you see? How did you understand? Jensen was in Supernatural, and then I appreciated that. I did. You can't do that though. I'm pissed at you, Jensen. You can't do that. You can't wink nod at me. I'm pissed. Okay, this is kind of the one thing that I did. I wouldn't say per se liked it, but I was a little bit not upset about this. I did appreciate seeing John's mom, so Sam and Dean's grandma, and seeing that she owned like an automotive shop, and you know, we didn't get to know like anything about her, and so it was kind of nice to like see like who she was. We can't really retcon anything with her because she really wasn't mentioned. There wasn't a lot about her in the original. So I guess she's the only character that really can't get retcon besides the new characters they introduced, which were Carlos and Lata, which they can do whatever the fuck they want with because no one ever mentioned Carlos and Lata. But you know, I guess that was kind of nice to see. John illegally joined the Marines to follow in his father's footsteps, and I guess John has been desperately looking for a way to find and be close to his father Henry this entire time, and I guess he forged his father's signature to get into the Marines. Can you do that? And I don't know how old he is, because he was there for 2 years, right? And if his mom says that he illegally joined because he was too young, what is the age of that you can join? Is it 18? So then did he join at like 17 or 16? So then how old is he now? Is he 18 or 19? Because he comes back and he drinks beer, and then his mom goes, no, you're not of age. You're not of the age that you told the military, so you can't drink that. But if he forged his father's signature to join the Marines, his father would have been like 40, and he looks like he's like 25, 30. So I'm confused. Is he like 19? We all know that Supernatural doesn't understand continuity with times anyways, so like, I don't care. Yeah, okay. And then John apparently gets given this letter from his father that has keys to a Men of Letters bunker in Lawrence. And then he goes there and then he runs into a demon. And Mary is there looking for her father, Samuel, who has disappeared. We saw him in the opening. And then he's like trying to help her fight off the demon, but he keeps punching her instead. Oh my god, so hilarious. And then she exorcises the demon, and John's like, oh my god, what's that? And then she's like, oh, it's a demon. And you know the gist. Oh, that was holy water. And oh, I did an exorcism. And and then they decide that they're gonna go into the building together to search for their respective fathers. And so then they go down, and continuity errors arise. John did not know about the Men of Letters. John did not know that Mary was a hunter. I hope the show gets canceled. Like, seriously though, do not watch this show. Do not give it the views. Do not support this bullshit. Get it canceled. So they go down, and Mary finds in the first filing cabinet she looks at, this is very Supernatural. The first filing cabinet she looks at, the first folder she brings out is exactly what her dad was looking for, which is some sort of instructions that the Men of Letters gave to open a box. And John finds his dad's locker in this bunker, and he opens it and he has a moment. Blah, blah, blah. Who the fuck cares? And then Mary's like, you don't want to be part of this life. You just go home. And then John surprises her in the morning with coffee and tells her that in the Marines, his job was to find people. What does this mean? I don't know. And then they agree that they're both going to go look for their fathers together. So then they drive, and John talks about his war PTSD. And it's funny because John goes, oh, I think I'm being haunted, because he's having PTSD flashbacks. And Mary's like, oh, bring out my EMF. Didn't John like make a tacky ass, like ghetto ass EMF because like he figured it all out by himself? Like, I just make it make sense. Make it make sense. And then I just wrote, I hate this show. And I do. Also, I guess Henry gave John an anti-possession charm, and Mary has one as well, and it seems all the hunters on the show have anti-possession charms. This is interesting. I don't know if this is a continuity error or not, but like John never had one, right? I can't say if like the other hunters, you know, ever had one. I guess it's like the least of my problems. I mean, it's kind of ingenious. Like, it makes more sense to get it tattooed on you like Sam and Dean did, because then like it can never fall out of your grasp, like we saw Ada, the hunter that Samuel was meeting up with. Like, it fell from her grasp and then she got possessed by a demon. I guess I was offended that they got their own bunker, but they like never went back there, so I guess they don't really have their own bunker. They don't understand the point of the bunker. At this point, I wanted to point out that John seems very melancholy and just kind of sad but hopeful about his father. And he, when he finds out about the men of letters, seems very you know, kind of defensive of his father. I mean, like, no, he made the right decision, because like when at the end of the episode, when like he goes to his mom and he goes, "Why didn't you tell me?" And I guess his mom was a hunter too, question mark, but okay. I guess we can't really call that a retcon because we don't really know anything about her, but like, we're pushing at straws here. Anyways, she's like, yeah, I stayed behind. I was just doing what was right for you, and you will understand when you have kids. Ha 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 ha. John was a horrible father. Don't say shit like this. I swear to God, it's Dean's family fiction. Like, it's a fan fiction about his family. Because John is so like, he's like, no, my father did the right thing. But then if he really believes this, then why was Dean so incessantly pissed at Henry for abandoning John? Because John was incessantly pissed about it. Like, make it make sense. You know what I mean? Like, it just, why would Dean have that reaction? If John was, say, understanding as to why his father abandoned him, don't you think that, like, he would have instilled that in Dean, and Dean would have just been fangirling to see his grandfather? Like, I just don't understand. I just genuinely don't. Like, I just don't. Flashing back to the car ride, we also find out that Mary had this person named Maggie near her die, and we find out later in the episode that Maggie was her cousin. This might just be me not remembering. Was there a Maggie Campbell ever mentioned in Supernatural? I doubt it, because the show doesn't seem to remember that Supernatural exists, but I might not have remembered that, so yeah. My favorite part was when they went to go check on Ada after finding out that there was a demon possession of sorts together. And so they go into the library, and then this demon from outside yells, "Mary Campbell!" And then she comes running out, and then like this is demon. And I'm like, okay, so she's like famous enough that all these like demons know her name. Like, she's like a big deal. And I guess that is technically correctly, the Campbell family was a big deal, right? Like, they were the hunters. So I guess this does make sense, but like, it was just really stupid scene. We meet Carlos, who is like another hunter, and Lata we met earlier. She's basically just like the knowledge person. Like, she just works out of the library and she helps them, like, you know, she was given the task of cracking the code of the box to open by Mary. But they come along, so now we have Carlos and Lata, and Carlos is giving me Western vibes. He literally like hits the demon with his car, walks up to it, shoots it with a gun of holy water, sprinkles salt around it, and then is like trying to act cool while giving the exorcism to John. It just, he was weird. And then they all agree to go together to New Orleans. Yeah, so they go on a road trip to New Orleans, and Mary's like, "Oh my God, Lata, if you choose this life, like, I can't help you." And I'm like, oh my God, okay, shut up, Dean. And then in the back, John and Carlos are having a bromance. And I must say that John has more chemistry with Carlos than he does with Mary. And I'm pretty sure that they confirmed that Carlos was bisexual, because Lata mentioned that he had been making out with some dude, like Mary's ex or something. So, I mean, fun. Supernatural decided that they were not going to be homophobic and racist in this show. From what I can tell, they do have 2 supporting characters who are people of color and 1 bisexual man. This is progress. You might be thinking, Maya, this is the bare minimum. And I would say yes, but Supernatural was really at the fucking low end of this, so I can say that there was an improvement in this aspect alone to the original show. John and Carlos are talking about how Carlos started hunting, and I guess it was a pretty typical story. Like, his family was killed by a ghoul, and then he killed a ghoul, you know, and so then he's just been hunting ever since. This is the normal hunter story. And John obviously had this story in the original because his wife was killed by a demon. So then they arrive at New Orleans to the grave that the opening sequence Sam was in. Not Sam. Samuel Campbell. My bad. Sam's not in this. I don't really care. This is not a critique. Cass should be in it. If Cass wants to come down and erase John's memories, would it be stupid? Yes. Would I love it? Yes. I'll admit, it would be the only thing that would make me okay with this show. Take notes, Jensen. Take notes. Like you care about my opinion. They arrive at the graveyard, and John has this moment with Lotta where Lotta's like, oh my god, are you nervous for your first hunt? Because it's Lotta's first hunt. And John, you know, realizing what's going on, is like, yeah, I am anxious, but you know, we'll do it together. And they have a little spark of chemistry there. And then Mary looks jealous, but I'm like, oh my god, John and Lotta for the win. Ship. I'm just being a bitch. And then they're in the graveyard and they're talking, and this is when Mary mentions that Maggie, her cousin, was killed by a vampire. And then also Mary says that after she finds her father, she would like to get out of hunting. Okay, so yes, Mary did want to leave hunting, but this was kind of more to be with John, who was a non-hunter, than because her cousin Maggie died by a vampire. I mean, this could have been another reason that was never mentioned in Supernatural, but to say the least, like, yes, you could say that Mary was unhappy about being a hunter before John came into the picture. And I'm not saying this cannot be accurate, but she desperately wanted to leave because of John. Right? Like, this was her reason. She wanted to have a normal life with John. John was not a hunter. She wanted to protect John. You can't just change the reasoning. Then they get to the door that we saw Samuel opening in the first part of the pilot, and when the monster came out and chased him, but at this time no monster came out and chased them. So Mary and John go down the hole. Carlos and Lotta stay up above. Then in the hole, basically, Mary and John find the box that Samuel was looking for. And then a loop guru, I wrote it down because it has a fucking hilarious name. A loop guru comes in, and this was never mentioned, I'm pretty sure, in Supernatural that I can remember. But then again, there were so many episodes and so many monsters, a loop guru may have passed by me. So I can't say for sure. But apparently this was put in place by the Men of Letters to protect the box. The only way to kill it is with a silver knife. So like silver hurts it. So remember how I said that John had the pieces of his friend Murph's necklace, which was silver, in his arm? He takes out the pieces and throws it at the loop guru. And I cannot say, words cannot say how stupid this is. I have never seen something as stupid as this. I am baffled beyond belief. Why would he still have the silver pieces in his arm? It's so stupid. And it makes even less sense because he's like, yeah, Mary, like, you go ahead and I will, like, save the day. And I'm like, okay, whatever, fine. It's like kind of a John move anyways. The only John character trait he has this entire fucking show. He's too nice. He's too soft. He's too gentle. And I understand. I do. That, you know, the death of Mary made him hard. I get it. But at the same time, like, I just feel like John should not, like, this is not John. Like, I'm just looking at him, I'm seeing him interact, and this is not John. And I know that before Mary's death, he was different. I understand this, but something about him is off. And Mary, like, I can see a little bit more of Mary in the Mary character. Like, she has the kind of same stubbornness and kind of drive for the hunt that she had when she came back from the dead. You know what I mean? Like, I can see it. I kind of get it. But I don't really see John. I really don't. I really, really don't. But, you know, in the flashbacks that we saw of Supernatural, like, John was a pretty chill guy, so I guess it is technically within continuity, but something about it feels off to me, and I just can't really explain what or why, but this is not John to me, if that makes sense. Regardless, he decides to stay back to hold off the monster and throws his little piece of silver, and he goes, oh, but Mary is able to get a silver knife down to him, so he like chops off his head. Meanwhile, up above, Ada, who is now possessed by a demon, comes and attacks them, and Carlos, I don't know, he comes out of nowhere and he like ends up kind of saving Lotta, and then Mary gets the box up, and we find out after Lotta opens the box that it is a box that can trap a demon in it. So it like automatically exercises and puts the demon inside the box. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, this box did not exist in the Supernatural universe that we know of, which is fine. They can create new things, but boy, would that not have been useful, huh? But you know, John did collect a bunch of like different objects and stuff like that, and there were so many different things available that it's possible that it was just sitting on a shelf somewhere. So fine, whatever, I don't care that much about it. You know, they get the box, but they didn't find Samuel Campbell. Yeah, John goes back and talks to his mom, confronts his mom. Mom was like a hunter of sorts, and then his mom's like, oh, you're just like your father, because he's like, yeah, I'm gonna be like a hunter, right? After she's like, don't go down this path. And first of all, if I'm not mistaken, the Men of Letters kind of looked down on hunters. If you remember, the Men of Letters were the ones that collected knowledge, and they were very much not hunters, right? Like, they were doing experiments to figure out how to cure things, or how to, you know, do proper exorcisms, or how to torture, and they just collected knowledge. And they kind of looked down on hunters a little bit. So I don't know if Henry would be proud. I mean, it's his son, so we'd hope. But, you know, I think there's a bit of, like, biases there. So, yeah, I think even if I remember correctly, in the episode where Sam and Dean saw Henry was, like, disappointed that they became hunters because he saw hunters as, like, just brutes. And then he kind of realized that Sam and Dean had, like, an extensive amount of knowledge because of, you know, how they hunt, and he kind of had more respect for it. But I mean, I don't know, I feel like it's a little bit of an unrealistic thing to say, but I also understand a mom being like, yeah, your dad would be proud, because like, what are you gonna say? Your dad would be so disappointed in you, and you know, but yeah, I don't know, that's something we need to keep in mind. John and Ada are sitting there, and Ada's like, oh, you remind me of Henry, you just look like Henry. So she was part of the Men of Letters, I guess? Question mark? Because we were told that like all of the Men of Letters were like obliterated 15 years ago. And she did say, oh no, wait, maybe she was just a hunter who knew about the Men of Letters. It's possible that's the case. But she did say correctly that the Men of Letters did all just like mysteriously disappear. She said that there's something called the Akrita, I think, and how they had been trying to destroy the Men of Letters and then trying to destroy the world, and how the box can stop them, because if you bring the box to the part where like they have been like rising from the ground or whatever, like coming up, you can trap them in there. So obviously our next mission for the next episode is to go stop the Akrita, or that might be our entire plot for the show, though I think the plot for the show for at least season 1 is finding Samuel. I'm not stupid. I know this is the plot of season 1 of Supernatural. I know it is. You know, Dad disappeared on a hunt, and now we're gonna go find him. But you see, there was a charm to Supernatural that is not here. The chemistry is really lacking between the cast, and the show is lacking the structure, I think, in my opinion. So we end off the episode, basically, they're gonna go to Savannah to try to stop the Secreta. The other box are also gonna try to find Samuel. And I guess maybe Henry, but I think they know Henry's dead. Henry is dead. We know how Henry died. He died saving Sam and Dean in the future. So that's kind of how it ends. And then we go up to heaven. I'm assuming heaven, where Dean is writing in a journal about how the Secreta were a lot more intense of a monster than they had originally thought, and how he's still putting together all the pieces. And then he drives off in the Impala. Sigh. Boy, listen to me. Listen to me. What the fuck? I wasn't even happy to see Dean. I was just mad. I don't even know what to say. Like, it just sucked. Like, there was nothing that was really good about it. And I just feel so pissed. Like, I don't understand. And yeah, I'm gonna keep watching. I'm gonna do a review after each episode. I don't really care if no one watches this, because it's just therapeutic for me. I need to sit and rant about it because it's just so bad. And I'm genuinely just shocked that, like, this is a show that got made. We had so many things we could have done, and we chose this bullshit. Also, again, hi, Dean, what are you doing in heaven without Cass? I feel hurt. I'm hurt. That's the review. As you can see, I really hated it. I really don't recommend it. And guess I'll see you for episode 2. Bye.